I am making an Angelechy lightsworn deck profile. I was trying to think of what decks I could mix Angelechy with besides Mitsurugi, and lightsworn is just one of the decks I had that I thought that could be a fun one to mix with it. And I'll say it now, at the moment, this is more of a for fun version, but mainly because I just slapped it together real quick and did a few test hands and really liked it. But starting off with the monsters, I play one copy of Lumina Twilight Sworn Shaman. This card has the effect once per turn. You can banish one. You can banish a Lightsworn monster from your hand or graveyard. Target a banished Lightsworn monster except for another Twilight Sworn Shaman and special summon it. And then once per turn, if your other Lightsworn monster effect is activated, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Next, I play 3 copies of Lumina Twilight Sworn Summoner. Lumina has the effect of once per turn, you can discard a card, target level 4 lower Lightsworn monster in your graveyard, special summon it. And then during the end phase, you send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Next, I play 3 copies of Weiss Lightsworn Archfiend. Weiss has the effect of letting you place one other Lightsworn monster in your hand on top of your deck, then special summon this card. And then it has the effect of you can send the top, let's see, where is it? You activate its effect in hand, put a Lightsworn at the top of your deck, summon it, and then you send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. And this card is sent to the graveyard, lets you target one Lightsworn monster in your graveyard except for another Weiss, and then special summon it. You will use each effect of Weiss once per turn. Next, I play one copy of Felis, Lightsworn Archer. Felis, I'm only playing one Felis because unlike Wolf, Felis has to be sent to the graveyard by monster effect to be summoned, whereas Wolf just has to be sent to the graveyard by card effect. But Felis cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by a monster effect. Where is it? It actually says that. Must be special summoned by a card effect. Cannot be special summoned by Wait. I'm trying to figure out how it's worded specifically. Hold on. If this card is sent from the deck to the graveyard by a monster effect, there it is. And then you special summon it, and then it has the effect you contribute it, target a monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and then send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. I apologize for that taking a while, I just could not comprehend the text on it for some reason. Next, I play 3 copies of Lightsworn Dragonling. Lightsworn Dragonling has the effect that if you have a Lightsworn monster in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, then you can send a Lightsworn monster from your deck to the graveyard, except for another Dragonling. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Dragon monster with 3,000 attack, 2,600 defense from your deck to your hand. There are 2 of those in this deck. Next, I play 1 copy of Performage Trick Clown. I figure this is still a decent one of in the deck since it mills a lot. But Trick Clown has the effect that if this card's sent to the graveyard, then you can target a Performage monster that's in your graveyard, special summon it, but its attack and defense becomes 0, and then you take 1,000 points of damage. Trick Clown will always target itself to bring back, and it's just another level 4 body that you can use. Next, I play 1 copy of Raiden, Hand of the Lightsworn. Raiden has the effect, you can activate its effect and send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard, and for each Lightsworn monster that is sent to the graveyard by this effect, Raiden gains 200 attack. And then during your end phase, you send another top 2 cards from your deck to the graveyard. Next, I play 3 copies of Wolf Lightsworn Beast. Wolf has the effect that if it's sent from the deck to the graveyard, then you can special summon it. Next, I play 1 copy of Judgment Dragon and 1 copy of Punishment Dragon. Judgment Dragon and Punishment Dragon cannot be normal summoned or set. They must first be special summoned from your hand by fulfilling a certain summoning condition. Judgment Dragon requires you to have 4 more Lightsworn monsters with different names in your graveyard, and Punishment Dragon requires you to have 4 or more banished Lightsworn monsters with different names. Judgment Dragon is a once per turn you can pay, once per turn. Judgment Dragon is just you can pay 1,000 life points to destroy all other cards on the field. And then Punishment Dragon lets you pay once per turn as a quick effect, pay 1,000 life points, shuffle all cards in their graveyard and face up banished back into the deck except for lightsworn monsters. And then Judgment Dragon has the end phase effect of sending the top 4 cards of your deck to the grave. And then Punishment Dragon has the effect of, if your lightsworn monster effect is activated, you send the top 4 cards of your deck to the graveyard. And then next, and that's it for the lightsworn monsters. For the Angelechy monsters, I play 3 copies of Witness of the Ancient. I'm playing 3 of this because this is a lightsworn, so it likes to send cards from the deck to grave a lot. So I play 3 just in case I hit the 1. But anyway, Witness has the effect if you have a synchro monster on your field or in your graveyard, then you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can place up to 3 synchro monsters with different names from your extra deck and or graveyard in your spell and trap zone face up. And then for each monster you place, you get a token that a token that has a level equal to the number of monsters you placed. And then you're synchro locked for the rest of the turn. And you can only use each effect of Witness once per turn. For the hand traps, I play 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This is mainly just in here to say no to Molcharmies. Speaking of Molcharmies, I also play 3 copies of Molcharmy Perulia and Molcharmy Fuwalos. Each of the Molcharmies have the effect, you can only use their effects when you control no cards. But you did... Ow. The kitten's attacking. But they have the effect of... You discard them to the graveyard while you control no cards, so that when your opponent summons from a specific place, hand for Marulia or deck or extra deck with Fuwalos, then you get to draw 1 card. And then during the end phase, for each card in your hand that is over the number of cards your opponent controls plus 6, so your opponent ends their turn with 2 cards on field, but you have 12, then you have to randomly shuffle, 6 cards from your hand back into the deck. Or, not 6, 4. I don't know where I got 6 from. That would be 14. But anyway, and then the final effect of the Molcharmies is that you can use 2 Molcharmy effects per turn. So you can use 2 Fuwalos, 2 Perulia, of Fuwalos and a Perulia. And then I also, with this deck, I'm not going to go over the side deck, but I will say that I do side 3 copies of Meowls. Just because every once in a while you will encounter someone who's playing a deck that is graveyard reliant, such as this one. For the spells, for the 2 1-ofs, I play 1 copy of Angelechy Problem and 1 copy of Foolish Burial. I'm still not convinced that 1 Angelechy Problem is going to be good in this deck, so I might bump it up to 2 or even 3. But Angelechy Problem has the effect once per turn. You can discard a spell or trap to then be able to special summon a level 2 Angelechy monster from your extra deck, and then you place an Angelechy monster from your extra deck in your spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous spell. And if a face-up Angelechy monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, then you can return one Angelechy monster card you own from your spell and trap zone to the extra deck, and then special summon it. And then Foolish Burial just lets you send a monster from your deck to the grave. Ordinarily, it'd be something that gives you a body, like you'd send Wolf, Summon Wolf, or you send Trick Clown, which then gives you Trick Clown. It's usually things like that. Next, I play 3 copies of Charge of the Light Brigade. Charge of the Light Brigade lets you send the top 3 cards of your deck to the grave for cost, to then add a level 4 lower lightsworn monster from your deck to your hand. Next, I play 3 copies of Solar Recharge. Solar Recharge lets you discard a lightsworn monster, draw 2 cards, and then you send top 2 cards of your deck to grave. Usually you will use this if you see it with Felis or Wolf, or you can use it with any lightsworn. It's just those are the main ones that are used because they're kind of dead cards in your hand. For the traps, I play 1 copy of Angelechy Disturbance. Angelechy Disturbance lets you give control of 1 Angelechy monster you control to your opponent until the end phase. Then if your opponent controls a face-up monster in its adjacent monster zones, or a spell trap, or the spell trap zones, then their effects are negated. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add an Angelechy spell or trap from your deck to your hand, except for another disturbance, and you can only use each effect of Angelechy disturbance once per turn. And lastly, for the traps, I play 3 copies of Angelechy opening to E4. Opening to E4 has the effect that if your opponent goes first, you can activate this card during their standby phase, to then let you place an Angelechy field spell from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up on your field. Then you get to special summon 1 level 2 or 7 Angelechy monster from your extra deck. And if you do that, you place an Angelechy monster from your extra deck to your spell and trap zone. Which ordinarily this will give you Pawn or Destrier. And then you'll play Bastion, and then Bastion will play Shatranga. And then I believe Shatranga will then get you a trap. I think that's what it was. So I believe it was Destrier that gives you the spell. Let's see. Yeah, Destrier will give you a spell card when it's placed in the spell and trap zone, and then Shatranga gives you a trap card when it's placed in the spell and trap zone. And then, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but E4 will also synchro lock you for the rest of the turn. But that is it for the main deck. The main deck is 42 cards, which I feel like isn't too bad considering it's lightsworn. The one thing I did consider doing was, instead of playing the Mulch Armies, was playing 3 copies of Buyo the Dawn's Light and 1 Mutiny in the Sky to make it an even 40. As Mutiny in the Sky will let you fusion summon a Fiend or Fairy fusion monster by recycling its materials from the graveyard back into the deck. Or, you have to recycle Fiends or Fairy monsters, which the monster of my choice would be the Loose the Dusk's Dark, which has the effect if it's while it's on the field, your monsters in the leftmost and rightmost monster zones cannot be destroyed by card effects. And it just requires 3 Fiend and or Fairy monsters. It also has a few other destruction effects, which I do like. But I was considering that I'll probably end up taking the Mulch Armies out and just leave Ashes in, or even take those out for more cards to help with the graveyard setup. But moving on to the extra deck, I play 1 copy of Enlightenment Dragon. Enlightenment Dragon must be fusion summoned from the extra deck by banishing the above monsters 1 each from your field and graveyard. Then once per turn as a quick effect, you can pay 2,000 life points to banish all other cards on the field and the graveyard. And then once per turn, during your end phase, not the end phase, you send the top 4 cards of your deck to the graveyard. For some reason, I thought there was another part to that. Then this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card. Then you can add 2 of your banished monsters to your hand, a Judgment Dragon and a Punishment Dragon. And then you can special summon both, ignoring their summoning conditions. Next, I play 2 copies of Minerva the Exalted Lightsworn. These are the only non-synchros in the deck. And Minerva has the effect of you can detach material, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, and for each Lightsworn monster you get to draw 1 card. And then, if this card is destroyed by battle, or this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, then you get to send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, and destroy cards on the field equal to the number of Lightsworn monsters that are sent to the graveyard. Then you can only use each effect of Minerva the Exalted Lightsworn once per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Michael the Arc Lightsworn. Michael has the effect once per turn. You can pay 1,000 life points, target 1 card in the field, banish that target. And then when this card is destroyed, then you can target any number of other Lightsworn monsters that are in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. And if you do, you gain 300 life points for each returned card. Then during each of your end phases, you send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Next, I play 1 copy of Glitch Clutch Nullgainer. I always have to say it slower because if I try to say it faster, I get the name wrong. But this card just searches for Witness of the Ancient, and then has the effect you can target 1 monster with 0 attack in your graveyard, special summon it, but negates effects. Also cannot be used as synchro material for a fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link summon. You can only use each effect of Glitch Clutch Nullgainer once per turn. I will be honest, I didn't realize I had that second effect, so it might be okay to reduce Witness of the Ancient to 1. Like I said, this is just a prototype version. Worst case scenario, I change it up and go, oh hey, this actually works. Make a new video. Anyway, next I play 2 copies of Minerva the Athenian Lightsworn. Minerva has the effect of Lightsworn monsters you control cannot be destroyed by or cannot be banished by card effects. And you can only use each of the following effects of Minerva the Athenian Lightsworn once per turn. If this card is synchro summoned, then you can send Lightsworn monsters with different names from your deck to the graveyard equal to the number of Lightsworn monsters used as this card's material. And then you can banish up to 4 Lightsworn monsters from your graveyard and send that many cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard. So I really like this card because it's able to set up being able to summon Punishment Dragon while also simultaneously setting up the summoning of Light or Judgment Dragon. Next, I play 1 copy of Psyframe Lord Omega. I do like Omega in this deck just because it's able to... It has the effect of... I forget the phase specific. During the main phase, you can activate Omega's effect to banish itself and 1 random card to your opponent's hand until your next standby phase. And then during your opponent's standby phase, you can activate Omega's effect to target one of your banished cards and put it back in your graveyard. Or target a banished card and put it back in the graveyard. And if this card is in the graveyard, you can activate its effect targeting one other card in your graveyard, shuffle both it and this card back into the deck. Then I play 1 copy at Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel can be synchro summoned using any light or dark monster as a tuner. Which, ordinarily, if you're making this, you're going to be using Glitch Clutch Null Gainer and the level 2 token that you get off of your Witness of the Ancient. Because ordinarily you'll make this will grab your Witness will place 2, then it'll summon a level 2 token. You'll then be able to place Shatranga, and then Destriator grabs your spell, Shatranga will grab a trap. And then you'll use this and the level 2 light token to make your Chaos Angel. And then Chaos Angel has the effect of this card special summoned, not synchro summoned, special summoned. Then you target 1 card in the field, banish it. And then you can apply the following effects depending on what attributes are used to make it, light or dark. If it's light, then synchro monsters you control are unaffected by monster effects activated by your opponent. And dark, then none of your monsters can be destroyed in battle. Now then, moving on to the Angelechy monsters. I play 2 copies of Angelechy Enlisted. Angelechy Enlisted has the effect of you can target one opponent's monster in this card's adjacent column. So if it's in the middle column, then it would be the columns on either side of it. To then be able to... I forget where it was. I already forgot what we were doing. Target a monster you put in this column, banish it, then change control of this card by moving it to one of your opponent's monster zones in the adjacent column. And if the control of this face-up card changes, return it to the extra deck, then the owner can special summon an Angelechy monster from their extra deck. Ordinarily, if you summon Enlisted, then you'll use Enlisted's effect to banish an opponent's monster, give it to them. Its effect will activate to return to your extra deck. And then you would summon one of your 2 copies of Angelechy Destrier. Angelechy Destrier. I'm going to make sure this doesn't have any other kind of effect while it's in the Stone Trap Zone. Okay. Enlisted has all Enlisted's effects are once per turn. Destrier has the effect of you can target one monster in another column, banish it, and then if this card is placed in the Stone Trap Zone as a continuous spell, then you can activate its effect to add a Angelechy spell from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Destrier once per turn. And then, while this card is treated as a continuous spell, each time your opponent activates a card or effect, inflict 500 damage when that card resolves. Then next, I play 1 copy Angelechy Bastion. Bastion has the effect of you can target one other card in this card's column, banish it, and if this card is placed in the Spell and Trap Zone as a continuous spell, then you can activate its effect to place 1 Shatranga in your Spell and Trap Zone as a continuous spell. And then while it's in the spell and trap zone as a continuous spell, your other Angelechy cards cannot be destroyed by card effects. See, I'm going to make sure it's card effects, not opponents. Okay. Cannot be destroyed by opponents' card effects. And then last for the extra deck, I play the one copy of Angelechy Shatranga. Angelechy Shatranga has no effects in the monster zone. All of its effects apply in the spell and trap zone, which makes sense because it's meant to be the king in this chess game. But it has the effect of you can target one monster your opponent controls and banish. I lied. Shatranga has the effect in the monster zone. You can target one monster your opponent controls and banish it. I can't read. Yeah, but it has the effect. This card is placed in the spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. You can add Angelechy Trap from your deck or graveyard to your hand. You can only use each of the preceding effects of Angelechy Shatranga once per turn, which is the one adding a spell or adding a trap from deck or grave while it's in the spell and trap zone, or as a monster, it can banish one monster on the field. But Shatranga also has the effect as a continuous spell of your opponent can only activate 5 monster effects during each turn. And then you can only activate, or your opponent can only activate up to 5 monster effects. And that is it for my lightsworn Angelechy deck profile. If you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas for decks you'd like to see made in the future, or decks like to see face each other, feel free to comment down below. I always read the comments and try any suggestions. And if you're still here, thanks for watching.